Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to The Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and where you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I am your girl, Lana, your resident, always right, evil diva. And I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. And yes, I am in my villain era. I am in my demon time because I am right. I was right. I was 100% right. And I will let no one forget how right I was about this here pay-per-view today. But I am currently just drinking water because it's hot down here where I am. But if I was drinking anything else, I would be drinking out of my cup mug for prepare. And you can get your cup mug at LanaG'sCreations.etsy.com, where we do ship internationally and domestically here in the US. So there are no excuses. WWE Universe, I'm looking at you. Get your cup merch. Period.
Well. He returns. I am back from my dental mishaps. And I am ready to talk about some wrestling, as always. I brought myself a lot of water because I have some thoughts. I won't say a lot of thoughts, but I do have thoughts. Overall, 5 a.m. is something. Shout out to everyone who wakes up at that time for normal pay-per-views. You are stronger than me. I'm ready to talk.
I am here. I am the Tofsen Waller, and you are here for the Tofa effect here in the sunny South Australia. Glad to be amongst my people. Hey, shout out to the moon. This was a great show up at 5 a.m. I set an alarm. It went off. I watched my coffee. It was light outside at the stadium while it was dark here. And then it got light outside here while it got dark there. So I am ready to break down this shine bar.
And it's Brooke, the Brooke Hogan of the Cup. Truly in pain, lots of pain, for a variety of reasons that I guarantee you will be ranted on later. I'm also here for Lana Sasha Banks. I'm here for it. It's great. The legit boss of the Cup, if you will. And I'm just really excited to get an opportunity for a good old-fashioned Brooke rant today. 'Cause it's been a while. It's been a very long time.
Well, we are here to talk about I have to see what I'm doing now. We're here to talk about Elimination Chamber. And but before we do, subscribe to this channel. You're here. We see you. We appreciate you. But subscribe to this channel. You can get all the things talking about reality TV and TV in general. So hit that subscribe button down there. And if you're a fan of drag or anything drag related, go to our main channel at the Cup Pod and hit the subscribe button over there. If you're a fan of Eurovision Song Contest, go to our other channel, the Cup ESC, and hit the subscribe button over there. Things are heating up on both channels, so you might want to go and do that and hit the notification bell as well. You could also join our membership channel on the Cup Pod, and you can get some exclusive content that nobody will get to see except you because you remember. So join that $5 a month, either here on YouTube, or you can go to Patreon and get the same content, but still exclusive to you because it'll never be on the channel. Do that, $5 a month. Give us a super thanks if you want. Go to the main channel, super thanks. Anything that you give us on the super thanks, we'll go right back to making these channels greater and better for you. And we maybe have a new channel coming up soon. I don't know. I won't talk about it right now, but it might happen. So do all of the things and hit all of the notification bells and all of those things. And we appreciate you and subscribe. So now that we got the business stuff out of the way, 5 o'clock in the morning is a very early morning time to wake up. 4 for me, 5 for East Coast people, even earlier for the West Coast people. So I don't know if y'all did it. Did y'all stay up all night? Or did you set an alarm like I did? Because I am not, I'm too old to be staying up all night. I can't do it no more. I got to go to bed, give me some kind of sleep. But baby, when that alarm went off at 3:30, I kind of cried a little. I was like, I don't want to wake up. But I got on up anyway. And I took my time and made it there right in time as the show started. Because you know how you lay in bed for a minute after the alarm go off and you're like, oh. I laid there for a minute and then I was like, okay, it's probably like 3:40 right now. And then I looked and it was like, nope, it's 3:49. The thing is about to start. So I turned on the TV and got started. But yeah, what did we think about this Elimination Chamber besides it being very predictable because I predicted it correctly the entire way through?
Underwhelming.
Start us off. I can understand underwhelming, but I had to add this immediately in because, of course, I'm not a social media guy, but I was scrolling through some YouTube, and I saw someone have an opinion on this, and I needed to share it with the Cup universe because I thought it was interesting to think about. Would this have been as underwhelming if we would have watched it at 5 p.m.? If this would have been a 8 p.m., a 5 p.m. regularly scheduled programming over in Florida or Philly or wherever, would this even have been a big deal? I think the pay-per-view was actually kind of good. I think it was exactly what we maybe expected, but just expected doesn't mean bad. Someone should have told like old WWE that because, you know, they were trying to throw us all sorts of silly things. And sometimes vanilla is good. Sometimes you get exactly what you think you're getting, and if it's Paul Levesque under the product, it can be a good product. So that's kind of how I feel. But the 5 a.m. did make it a little underwhelming, I think.
I think that the fact that it was at 5 a.m. and the fact that it was in Perth, Australia, and the fact that it was a giant stadium made what would have been a C show at best a B+ in my opinion. I think that this difference, the change of setting, and I know we said this at the beginning of the year in one of the prediction podcasts, and we talked about it, being international, giving these premium live events a reason to feel bigger than your Raws and your SmackDowns because you don't have to pay for them anymore. Making them special by having them outside of the country and bringing in a different crowd already changes the feel of the show. Yes, we knew the show was going to be predictable, but predictability doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to be good. I don't have to be able to not call the show to experience entertainment. We rewatch shows all the time. You know what I mean? And I know exactly how those end. That doesn't change the way that I'm entertained by it. So I think that the setting of it being in Australia, the fact that it was a cute thing to wake up at 5 a.m. and get to watch wrestling while laying in bed as opposed to like waiting till the end of the day, I truthfully felt way more invigorated, whereas I would probably be ready for the Mommy Nia Jax match to be done and over with if it was 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night that match started versus 8 o'clock in the morning.
So for me, I'm probably the only person out of the four of us here who didn't watch the pay-per-view live. I had plans Saturday morning. I didn't have time to watch it until Sunday. And I'll just say this, for me, I'm kind of underwhelmed by this event. Not because I thought it was going to be anything particularly special going in. I didn't expect LA Knight to win the men's elimination chamber and Nia Jax to beat Rhea Ripley and all this other stuff. But I just thought maybe we'd get more than what we did end up getting. I think part of the reason I think it felt a little underwhelming was just we only had 4 matches on the card. And granted, all 4 of those matches delivered in their own way. I just feel like it felt a little bare bones. I wish they would even have been like Gunther fighting somebody for the IC title or like something else, or how you could take Logan Paul out of the chamber, put in Sami Zayn, and thrown in like Logan Paul against somebody else for the US title or something. It just felt like kind of an empty card, and I don't think that really helped when you look at the fact that we had 4 matches, 5 if you count the pre-show. But that's just me. And of course, you know, like I said, I am not happy with some of the results, which one, but the other one I'm going to get to when we get to it as well. I think they missed a lot of opportunities on this show to really make some special moments happen and not make this feel like a B show or a C show. It feels like a C show. And when you look at something like Backlash last year, which for all intents and purposes should have been a B show, a C show, and normally is, it felt special because even if the presentation was the same and you had a really cool crowd just like you did here, I think the big difference is that they created moments where they didn't have to. Whereas here, I don't really feel like they really did that. At least not to me. I'm not going to remember most of this pay-per-view in about 3 months, honestly. I feel.
I mean, for me, I felt like, I was listening to some other people talking about this show, and somebody made a very good point that I was like, that actually makes sense to me, and I agree with it. Mari talks too much. She does on RJP, actually. She mentioned that just because a show is predictable, and I think Sophie said, just because a show is predictable doesn't make it bad. But she was like, because sometimes when it's predictable and it's just what it is, if it makes sense to the story that's going forward, then predictability is fine. Because if they would have just doing some crazy stuff out the way that didn't make sense to any of the story going forward into WrestleMania, it would have been crazy. We were like, why did we do this? Why are we doing this in this moment? So what is going to happen in WrestleMania? We already got a rocky road to WrestleMania because we still don't know what's happening, where is it going, what's going to be the final WrestleMania card, because there's so many unopened things. We got some things finalized, but it's still things are left open. And so I'm like, if this made sense to the story, I think everybody who won and the outcomes on each of these matches made sense to the story that's going forward. So I wasn't that mad at it. I thought it was actually good, and I liked it being in Perth. I liked it with this new crowd. The stadium was beautiful. I liked the setting. It was a beautiful setting. I was very amazed at how beautiful that was. I was like, that stadium with it being so open, and then we getting those shots where it was above showing the outside it was just a beautiful setting. And I was like, oh, I hope we do go back to Perth and we do get this setting more, a few more times. I thought it was good. I thought it made it good for me.
I just had a thought, and this is what I think is the biggest flaw in why the show is so predictable, is because at the end of the day, the thing that makes wrestling is the stories that are associated with it, right? And so we have been conditioned and trained and understand that the winner of the Royal Rumble goes on to face the champion at WrestleMania. They now have the ability to make the champion of their choosing because there's 2 championships. So that sets up your A match. That you won the Royal Rumble, you are the best of the best. You get to face the championship that is the best of the best. And that is your mega main event. And I hate to this is, Roman Reigns that put in this concept of the loser bracket, but then, okay, now Elimination Chamber, which should be this hard-hitting, competitive, everything is at stakes type of match, which really should be more for a championship and not a number 1 contendership, is the consolation prize. You didn't win the Rumble, so now you get to go to the Chamber, and so it's a second chance Chamber to face the champion that the Rumble winner didn't want to face. And you already lessened that second titles match, in my opinion, versus letting a story build organically. Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins was already building to that. You don't need somebody to come in, and you don't need Drew to win the Elimination Chamber to build to that story of oh, now he's earned that match. No, fucking make it point to where Seth is frustrated enough and is pissed off enough, and the only way he's going to get his hands on Drew is if he agrees to put that title on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got a reason to fight. It's a blood feud, Same with Rhea Ripley and Becky. That story started before the Chamber even happened. So either don't start any WrestleMania stories before the Chamber happens, or don't make the Chamber a prerequisite to get to WrestleMania and lessen both of those titles.
Agreed.
Good point.
Very good point indeed. But we are going to jump right into talking about the Elimination Chamber. I will position myself to be better. Ooh, I don't like this one at all either. I thought I was going to like it better, but I don't. So I'm going to find a different one.
Still a bomb logo, though. That's a really good logo.
It's a very good logo. It is a very good logo. I don't like this one either. Oh, I don't like any of those. Okay, this is just going to have to be.
Just use Old Reliable.
Right. There we go. Oh, reliable it is. But let's just get into it because Brooke, this is what Brooke is going to definitely give us our very first rant of the night. And I was ready for it because the night started out with the Women's Elimination Chamber. And I said, once again, I was like, the women's going to start out first. But then I was like, oh, wait, because Rhea Ripley has to be the main event. Like, duh. It makes no sense for her not to be the main event here first. So, but I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But we get our Elimination Chamber match. I thought it was a good match. I thought each of these women performed very well in this match. I thought they gave us a good performance. We heard a lot of stuff after the fact. Raquel actually had a flare up on the way to Australia, and so she was swollen and in some pain when she had to do this match, but she went out and did it anyway. So I was like, okay, work. She said the show was go on, and I will not give up my spot to nobody. Absolutely not. I'm just gonna go out there and do it. And she performed really good. Tiffany Stratton was very much over with this crowd. They were very happy that it was Tiffy time, and they wanted to see more Tiffany Stratton. And she did a good job, I will say. She actually did a really good job in this chamber match for me. I was impressed with her. I was like, she is somebody to watch more and more. I love her villainous attitude. I'm a fan of, I like a good heel if it's a heel that makes sense. And she makes sense. And I enjoyed her. I felt like Liv was really good in this match. Bianca was really good in this match. For me, Bianca won ring gear of the night. Again, I'm just saying, because that was kind of
highly agree.
That was kind of cute.
Okay, but before we talk about anything else, just quick note: if Bianca Belair is on the card, assume she's at minimum a finalist for ring gear of the night every time.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
like every time. She always crushes it.
And she showed some skin. She doesn't usually show skin. Usually she's got like more modest. She was
fly.
She was showing off that bodybuilding competition.
Absolutely, a bodybuilding competition that she worked for. She's like, let me show this off. It works. And then Becky was good. I thought Naomi was good. I thought everybody just was really, really good in this match. So I'm gonna let you all give me your thoughts on the match. Wes, I'll start with you.
Of course. So this match is actually one that probably sticks in my mind the most out of all of them, which I kind of, not to be horribly surprised by because of the talent in the ring, but it just reminded me of how much I like the Elimination Chamber. And of course, it being first, it was the first Elimination Chamber that I watched, just like everybody else. And we got all the spots that I would want from a Elimination Chamber match. We got the off the pod, we got the steel cage segments, and they were all done pretty creatively. Thank you, Naomi. Because Naomi kind of carried the creativity of this match along with Liv, if I had to really point it to. But everyone played their role pretty well. I thought the eliminations were pretty interesting, except I have to get a little upset about Naomi's removal of the match as soon as she was. And I would have probably liked to see her more, but what can I say? I mean, just the creativity in the Elimination Chamber. Like, I could feel it leave with Naomi. But it was still a very good match. Overall, liked it a lot. Reminded me of how much I like Elimination Chamber. And I can't say I'm horribly displeased with the match as a whole. I think it was very solid.
It's definitely Tiffy time. That is 100%. I think that Tiffany Stratton showed up and said, "This is why I'm on the main roster." And I think she put every single one of those women in the locker room on notice that she will, I believe, I'm going to call it now, Tiffany Stratton is main eventing WrestleMania 41. I don't know against who. I don't know who she's facing off against, but Tiffany Stratton will be in the main event of WrestleMania 41. She's that good. Bianca delivered as always. Naomi, it was so fun to watch the different spots that she would put together. Liv did great. Raquel was just kind of there for me. But the thing that I disliked about Becky Lynch was fine. You know, Becky Lynch is great. She's a stalwart. She's big match Bex, right? Just like how John Cena is great. He's a stalwart every match he's in. It's just, but it gets tiring. And I agree with that point. And the thing I hate the most is this is a diabolical structure. This is a match that is so like devious and destructive, and you lose by pinfall or submission because you have been incapacitated in some form. And for the match to be won with a roll-up, the dreaded roll-up, is a disservice to what these it's a cop-out, because I do believe that you can look good in losing, and I think you look even better when you are taken to the limit and just cannot get past that limit. And a roll-up just leaves me wanting more, especially when it's that 1-2 punch of how the ending just happened like that. And it's like, we don't, like, and I'm sure that Brooke is going to talk more about this, but we don't get, like, Liv Morgan eliminated Bianca, which is like a big fucking deal because she's taking Bianca out of the main event of WrestleMania for the first time in 3 years just to be rolled up. Not okay. Although I appreciate the Scott Hall homage by Becky Lynch because she wore his attire.
So I have a lot to say. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum, though, because I could be ranting about this for the rest of the podcast if I absolutely had to. First off, I'm going to talk about what I liked. The actual match was great. I have very minimal complaints. I wish Naomi would have stayed in longer. To me, I honestly think it would have been really cool if you would have swapped Naomi's elimination with Bianca's. And I know people may not like that, but the thing is, Naomi just came back, right? And we need to get her established back up in the card, right? The only other person I could maybe see being like a reasonable first elimination in this match would be Raquel. Liv, Tiffany, they just came back too. Liv just came back. Tiffany just debuted on the main roster. They cannot go without doing something in this match. If Becky has to win, which we'll talk about, sure, they can't be first out. Bianca, her legacy is established. If she's the first person out for like everybody teaming up on her and just getting the biggest threat out or whatever, that's fine, doable. I just wish they would have given Naomi a little bit more shine on this. I love her. I do agree with Wes. I think her and Liv really did lead the creativity in a lot of this match. Couple of specific spots I want to shout out. I really love Liv's, I guess it was kind of a senton off the top of the pod onto Raquel where she was like laying in the Sasha Banks rope position. Also love the Avalanche Oblivion that better be in 2K next year. It looks fantastic. Tiffany Stratton sold the hell out of that. And just one more thing about Tiffany Stratton, you can tell the marked improvement she has had in her 3 years in this company. If you go back and watch her first match with Fallon Henley on NXT all those years ago, like 3 years ago, she was green, she was stiff, she was awkward. It was really hard to watch. You couldn't put any of those words attached to Tiffany Stratton now. She is incredible. She has shown how successful this training can be in this company. So props to her. Props to all 6 of the women. I think they all did great.
Yep. Shoutouts to developmental.
Yes. Now it's time for the Brooke rant. So when I pick Liv Morgan to win this match, I want to be clear that it was out of a lot of things. It was partially my Liv Morgan bias that I have admitted that I have, that we all know that I have. But it was also because I'm tired of her being dangled like a carrot in front of the fans, in front of her fans. You know, there is something to be said about being the person that just can't win the big one, even though she's been the women's champion before. And somebody who isn't going to be that main event player that's always going to be the B+, right? But there comes a time where we as fans will stop caring about that B+, right? When they get pushed and they just fall short one too many times and we just stop caring, you know? Out of the last 4 matches to qualify for a WrestleMania match, women's title match at WrestleMania, she has been the runner-up in 3 of them. She has been in all 4 of those matches. Only one she wasn't the runner-up in was Elimination Chamber last year, in case you're curious. And it's hard for me to believe that the company will ever put any faith in her now. Even after she won Money in the Bank, which I thought was going to be the opportunity where they'd finally put the rocket on her, all she got was a title defense against Ronda that very clearly portrayed her winning as a fluke, a pretty solid defense against Shayna Baszler that was actually a pretty good match, and then she dropped the belt to Ronda again. She held the belt for like 90 days. And to me, it's been very clear these past few years that they either need to put all of their faith in her and let her become a star, or she never will be. And it's starting to get to the point where I don't think they're ever going to let her become a star. I don't. However, I also want to talk about the other reason I picked Liv. We have been talking for years about this company needing to make new stars, right? About how, you know, some people are on their way out and new people are coming in to replace them. And out of the last, let's say, 5 years at WrestleMania, I'm pretty sure every single women's title match has been between the same, 7 women, give or take maybe a name there or two. And after a while, it just gets repetitive, you know? And to be clear, the 7 women are Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Ronda Rousey, Asuka, and Bianca Belair. Now, granted, Sasha's not with the company anymore. Ronda's not with the company anymore. So they're down to 5. Charlotte's out with an injury. So make that 4. And Asuka's tied up in the tag title scene right now, and Bianca's not in a world title match. So we're going to be getting Becky... Oh, and Rhea, too. Sorry, we got to add Rhea, so 8 people. So we're getting Rhea and Becky. Great, I guess. I'm not happy about it. I'm not going to lie. The internet discourse has been really awful this week since Elimination Chamber surrounding a few people. The thing that really made me upset, though, I saw a few arguments as to why Rhea and Becky needed to happen, and it couldn't have been Liv. The 2 that made me mad were, 1, saying that Becky and Rhea is a money match. Let me ask you a question. Why is this a money match? Because, I don't know, they let Becky and Rhea develop into stars and become independent talents that got over with the fans, and then they actually put the rocket on them and made them into megastars that held championships for a significant amount of time? Who does that sound like other than letting them run with a championship and actually giving them an opportunity to win a belt and hold it for a significant amount of time? Liv Morgan, who's one of the most over people in the company right now and is the top-selling female merch seller. Maybe it's her. Second, that Becky earned this because she hasn't been in a world title picture for 2 years, and, you know, she hasn't been holding championships. Last I checked, she held the women's tag belts and the NXT Women's Championship last year. She has held a championship every year that she has been on the main roster, except for the first 2, the first 2015 and 2017. Every other year, she has either held a world title or the tag championships at minimum. Last year, she did not take a year off. She was not out of the title picture. She was out of the world title picture, but she was having a marquee feud with Trish Stratus. She became a Grand Slam champion and elevated exactly no one with that reign. And we're acting like she has been this God-giving gift messiah to the women's division last year. She did nothing to get anyone over other than herself. And it baffled me when people were saying, oh, she got so many people over. People were saying she got Trish Stratus over. Trish Stratus does not need anybody's help to get over, okay? The NXT women's title run, she took the belt off Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany did nothing for the rest of her time in NXT. I think it's a miracle she's on the main roster now. She was losing to Fallon Henley before she left. That's a crazy drop in stock. She dropped the belt to Lyra Valkyria. I wish I could tell you anything that she's doing right now. She's feuding, I guess, kind of with Roxanne Perez, but not really. So nobody got over. Nobody went up the card. Nobody's stock went up except, Becky Lynch became a Grand Slam champion. Where's the giving in that? So hate that argument. Now, I will say, after watching Raw on Monday, I am a little more optimistic than I was immediately after the pay-per-view. I think there is definitely more maneuverability here than it looked like on the surface. I do have my heart hoping for a fatal four-way with Becky, Rhea, Liv, and Nia now. I think that match should be pretty good. I think all four of them are in a good spot enough for that to happen. I don't know if it will happen or not, but if it does happen, they need to let Liv win, and if they don't, nobody is going to care about her for the next little bit until they actually put the rocket on her. And maybe it sounds like sour grapes. Maybe it is sour grapes. I'm tired of waiting on this company to pull the trigger. It is a problem that they have had for years, and it seemed like maybe they weren't going to have this problem anymore with Triple H, but apparently they still do. So, yeah, make a new star for once, because everybody calls you out for not being able to do that. So just do it. Just let her win. That's all we're at. Just let her win. Brooke rant over.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a question for the entire group, because this is a thought that came to me a few days ago, basically about the day after I watched Elimination Chamber. And it's this, and particularly, Brooke, I'm very interested in your response to this, which is, at Mania, because we are, of course, dead set, we're deadheading to Mania. We are going to have a estimated metric butt ton of titles being dropped at Mania. Mm-hmm. If you look at projections and what's expected, people are expecting this title to switch hands. People are expecting both main titles to swap hands. Maybe the IC title, maybe the tag titles. But we all know, as good wrestling fans, that not every belt can drop at Mania or it becomes a crazy mess. And so I have started developing this idea that if you look at it as, yes, of course, the main belts are going to be probably being dropped, what belts are staying? And I'm looking at this match, and if we don't get the four-way, if we don't get a three-way, if Nia's not in the picture, if we just get Becky Rhea at Mania, I'm actually fairly reasonably confident that this could be one of those titles that don't get dropped. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at Rhea Ripley as a champion, her stock has only been going up. And then you bring her to Perth and she explodes the stadium. Is this really the time that you drop a woman while she's the most over she's ever been in her career? Is this when you really drop her title? And so I've kind of been formulating this thought that what if we are going to see a retain at Mania and maybe she's going to get her chance. She's missed second place. They're not putting her in second place every time for no reason. Mm-hmm. This might be a Paul Levesque move of, if she's going to retain anyway, if you throw Liv the rocket on now, that rocket is going to hit cement. Mm-hmm. It's going to hit Rhea's reign, which is just going to continue. So we might have to be patient and see if after Mania, if Rhea retains, maybe that's when the only person to have a good enough storyline to beat Rhea surfaces, which is Liv, which I think we might all agree on. I know we agree on this, Brooke. We've talked about it extensively. What do you think about that, guys?
Liv was the most recent person to pin Rhea Ripley. Mm-hmm. And I think that is important. I do think that Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley is a dream match. And I do think that Rhea Ripley going over Becky Lynch would make Rhea even bigger of a star than what, because last year she was made when she beat Charlotte Flair. Mm-hmm. And then this year, it's like you go from being made to being solidified. Like you are now the person,
being made to being mommy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you are the face of women's wrestling, and that transition has to happen. Becky Lynch is the Hulk Hogan, the John Cena, the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Becky Lynch is that for women, and that is there's no taking that away. And so yes, you put Rhea Ripley up against Becky Lynch, and we see if Rhea can then take the reins and to become that person. Rhea has that opportunity to be, the Macho Man, to be the Randy Orton. I think Rhea has more potential to be the Randy Orton of the women. And I'm just comparing to compare, scalability, right? And beating Becky Lynch, I think, gets her there. And then Liv has the ability to be built up to be a perfect competitor for Rhea and to then be the one to go over. But you end up with, when people thought they were getting Sasha Banks back because Naomi came back at Royal Rumble and Liv was number 30, the audience did not react very fairly, and it was not fair to Liv. And I think that sometimes you have to take 2 steps back to take 10 steps forward. And I think for Liv to be constantly the runner-up is really good. And I think that you're going to get Liv as the face of the company, but I think they needed to bring her away from the spotlight a little bit, so that way people forget about the whole Ronda Rousey situation that took place, because that reign was not Ronda killed that for her because they were not good matches. You know what I mean? And that's not Liv's fault.
Yeah. To respond to that, okay. The Ronda Liv feud was a year and a half ago. It was 2022. In that time period, Liv has won the women's tag belts twice.
Mm-hmm.
And, she pinned Ronda again, I might add. I hate the idea that we can't just look at the cards that we have and recognize the opportunity that exists. And that's something that I've found to be a problem for WWE for a while now. And I think that's going to be more profoundly accentuated in the next match that we're going to talk about, because that right there is something else that I think is definitely a drop ball a little bit, where they had the opportunity to advance multiple storylines at the same time, and they chose not to. Because sure, Becky Rhea, is it a dream match? Maybe for some people, not for me personally. But if some people are into that, cool, I'm happy for you. It's just not something that's piquing my interest, because for a long time, I have very much been interested in why 2 people are fighting more than the 2 people that are fighting, right? If, Bianca and Sasha a few years ago at WrestleMania, right? If they had no storyline, that worked because there was a importance to that match no matter what, right? There was something there that mattered. There was a storyline, but let's say there wasn't, right? Becky and Rhea, the story that they have told so far does not make me want to tune in. It doesn't make me interested in it. And they're both great, and the actual match is going to be great. But if I don't care about the story going into it, it's kind of like watching an anime where it's just a bunch of people punching each other the entire time without a reason for them to punch each other, right? Sure, the action's probably going to look cool, and the anime.
But how do you feel about the idea of strapping the Rocket and hitting concrete? If Rhea retains and you were to put Liv Morgan in Becky's place, wouldn't that finally kill Liv's push entirely? So isn't it better to be patient and wait and strap the Rocket on at the right place? Because I feel like that might be the issue.
If that were the case, sure. I don't think Rhea is the champion that's going to retain at Mania, at least based in that timeline. I'm firm in my thought that going into Mania, I think there are 2 belts that are not leaving anybody's waist. And those 2 belts are the women's tag belts. They're going to be on the Kabuki Warriors for a while. I don't see anybody coming up to challenge them anytime soon. And then the other belt is Gunther's Intercontinental title. Unless and only if they call up Ilya Dragunov to have a match with Gunther. If that happens, Gunther's dropping the belt. But other than that, I can't see anybody else taking the belt off him right now. I think it's a 50-50 if Seth retains. honestly, now. I think before the Punk injury, absolutely not. But as of right now, I think Seth could retain. I think Io's dropping her belt. I think Roman's dropping his belt. And I think Rhea, if I was going to guess, is dropping her belt. And then Logan Paul is dropping his belt for sure. So, like, that's just my takes. Maybe the tag belts, I don't know. That's 50-50 to me. It depends on what they want to do there. But I think if I was going to say, oh, these are the people that are, like, in the most jeopardy, Rhea wouldn't be at the top of that list, but she's certainly not at the bottom either. I think, like, there are definitely people that are more likely to retain than Rhea, personally.
I think Rhea's dropping. I think Rhea's keeping her belt. I think she's retaining her belt, even if against Becky Lynch, especially if they do a 4-way. She's keeping the belt because she'll have the champion's advantage. She's keeping it in the 4-way.
Yep.
But
only in wrestling, the more people you add,
right.
the
more likely she's keeping it.
Yeah.
But I do think she's keeping it in this situation. I would rather, and as much, and I feel what you feel, Brooke, about Liv. I feel like she deserves and she should be getting more of the shot, but I feel like I'm willing to wait because I do think this second place build up is going to come back for her. I do believe in the long story. I believe that Triple H believes in the long story. He's a long story kind of guy, and I know it's as frustrating as it is for all the fans who are fans of Liv. It's frustrating. You don't want to see the person you really want to see in there always getting second place, always coming so close to come. But that whole brass ring story is something that we've seen for years and years in the WWE. And I think that I think when Rhea does drop her belt, it will be to Liv. I think that's what's going to happen in my opinion.
Also, I can see the skepticism because if you believe in a world where Becky's beating Rhea, well, what do Liv and Becky have to fight about? So I can actually completely see the dark timeline, if you want to call it that, where we go into that mode and then there's really no great explosive trampoline to attach Liv to. But I think if Rhea retains, there's that easy pocket there to have that explosive trampoline for Liv. And you know what? If they're going to do this to Cody, if they're going to make Cody finish his story over years, man, no one is safe.
I'm going to rewind it a little bit. So a lot of people probably think that my waiting for Liv has been happening since Royal Rumble last year, right? It's been a lot longer than that.
Of course it has. But,
look, specifically, I can tell you the exact date I started waiting. It was Money in the Bank 2021. Going into that pay-per-view, Liv was the favorite in the odds. People thought she was going to win. People were picking her to win because out of everyone in that match, she was the only person that really had a story about her, getting out of Money in the Bank and getting into Money in the Bank and like all this other mess. And then Nikki ASH won, if you remember that, and cashed in, held the belt for a month. At least Liv got better than that. And everybody was kind of like, so we wasted this opportunity on Liv Morgan for this. And ever since then, it has just felt like every time we have had this shining glimmer of hope that Liv was going to be the girl, was going to be the woman, they've just never let her be. And it hurts, like, as a fan to watch that. Especially considering I know at least one other person in this conversation can relate to this because Wes is a Dolph Ziggler fan. And just as well as I do that he is in the exact same boat. He had the opportunity to be a megastar. He should have been a top guy, but they never let him be a top guy. He was world champ for a month, and look what happened after that.
Yeah.
Now he's working in TNA in New Japan.
But
I mean,
I hate to cut you off, but we have been talking about this, and we are 40 minutes in, and we have only talked about one match.
Mm-hmm.
So we really gotta pick this up. It's already late enough, so we're gonna move on to the tag team match. I know we have thoughts about this as well because it's Judgment Day get done, and Tyler. Sorry, whatever. Yes, sorry. And this match was a match. but I knew what was going to happen. I said what was going to happen, and what I said happened.
I just feel like it was a missed opportunity. I'm not mad about this one because I get it. Like, obviously, I feel like we're building towards Judgment Day defending against Awesome Truth at Mania at this point. That makes sense. It just kind of was like, you could have that match without the belts to me. Like, you could have Awesome Truth cost Judgment Day the titles here and then have them build into their own match at Mania with New Cat Republic defending against some other team and letting more people get on the WrestleMania card in captivating matches. Do I understand why Judgment Day retained here? Yeah, I'm not mad. I just feel like it was an opportunity that could have went a different way that would have been more satisfying personally for me.
I felt like this was match of the night. I really enjoyed this match. It was a lot of fun. It was a good back and forth. It was the hardest one to call. The only thing I didn't in Dirty Dom is a national treasure. You've got like Dirty Dom is one of he had so much heat that they had to black the screen out because the whole front row was like flicking him off and they couldn't air that on television. Like, that's Dirty Dom is the greatest heel in the modern era, bar none. I don't care what you say.
I thought I was losing my mind when I was watching it. I was like, why is it so black on the screen? I'm like, I put my contacts in, right? Yeah, I did. I'm watching it. Oh, my God.
My only complaint was that you know how many people have kicked out of the 3D without it being broken up? Okay? The death drop. One time. Okay?
And it wasn't in WWE.
And it wasn't in WWE. Like, protect finishers. Why is that so hard? A finisher is a finisher. Why do you have them hit their finisher? I think it was on Damian Priest, right? And he kicks out. Like, no. Like, have it broken up, sure. Like, but like, their finisher is not good enough to like keep the man down. You know, that's the only thing that I don't like about honestly modern spot fest wrestling. And I know that like I'm not the biggest Jim Cornette fan, but I'm also not the biggest Jim Cornette fan, and that's his biggest gripe. It's like finishers don't mean anything. You know, it like they have a phenomenal finisher that is really cool. Like, why is it not protected? Like that was my only issue. But other than that, great match, loved it, good stuff. I love Finn Balor, I love Damian Priest, and I love Dirty Dom. So can't go wrong there. I'm glad Pete Dunne is Pete Dunne.
Yep, match was incredible. Don't even have to talk about the technical skill. Everyone's probably going to know that if this was in the Tokyo Dome, it would be highly rated. And so I won't even say anything about that, but I will say this. The New Catch Republic has catched my eye. That's all I can say. Is I don't think, unless you're an NXT fan, unless you're following, I'm sorry, but Tyler Bate and Butch, like as singles competitors, they did not immediately inspire me to be looking at them more closely in the title picture. And then, of course, you have this new unified old rekindling of the New Catch Republic, and it has some history, it has some great depth. But the casual viewer, which I can represent better than most people on this pod, they aren't going to know that. They aren't going to know everything. So I think that this was a great beginning to what could become an extremely good tag team and an extremely respected tag team like the New Day is, like the Usos were. And so I'm very excited to see their future. It looks very bright. And we will see how long the Judgment Day is able to weasel their titles together. All thanks to, of course, our Latino Heat, Dirty Dom.
So while we're talking about people dropping belts, do we think Judgment Day is dropping the tag belts at Mania as of right now?
Yes.
I don't
know if they're even competing. I don't even know if they'll have the tag belts come Mania.
I think if they defend against Miz and R-Truth, they are, but I do not think Miz and R-Truth are going to have those belts for very long. So we'll see what happens there, but I think they're probably not going to keep the belts past Mania.
I agree. Shout out to Daphne LaShawn, Ref Bay. I loved that we got, as she called it, the double auntie fingers to get Dom I was just like, I love that for me. I love that for her. That was one of my favorite parts. Dominic Mysterio is the best heel we have going on the show right now. Like, you can't get, and I'm so shocked to be saying something like that. Who would have thought if a few years ago when Dominic Mysterio came in, it would be like Dominic Mysterio is going to be one of the best heels. Never
Yep.
would have thought that.
All you have to do is act like your real dad.
I did. I called it from the very beginning. Since I've been podcasting with you guys, I have said Dirty Dom. Dirty
He
Dom.
was Dirty Dom by the time you got here. I'm talking about when he wasn't Dirty Dom. When he first came in with Ray, would you have said, "Oh yeah, that's going to be the future villain of the best heel over"? No, but when he got with the Judgment Day, yeah, absolutely.
When he had his match with Seth Rollins, and I know that Seth Rollins can have an amazing match with a broom, but he had a SummerSlam match against Seth Rollins, and that match was a freaking banger. I was like, if he's this good now, wait until he gets some season under him.
Yeah, and you're totally right. And the moment that he transferred from like being a little chicken, like completely, that was his entire character as a heel. Like he reminded me of the chase scenes on Scooby-Doo. He ran away that much. Like when he moved on from that and like now he's just kind of a weasel, I think it really exploded his wrestling because we got to see it more. Because when you're running, you aren't fighting. And but now that we're actually getting to see him in the ring more, he's getting to be that weasel hyena technician that I think he should have been. Yeah, he's incredible. Like, how can you not like Dom? He's Dom. You love to hate him.
He does. Even Seth Rollins said that was when he knew that Dominic Mysterio was something special. He was like, I have much more respect for him than you would think because of what he brought into that match. He was like, this was one of my better matches. And so that was incredible. That was amazing. But yeah, I do think they might drop this belts at Mania if it comes to The Miz and R-Truth, if Awesome Truth, if that's what they're fighting. R-Truth is so over, and it would make no sense not to let them have it and to throw it in Judgment Day's face like, y'all wouldn't let me in your group, and now I'm taking your belts. That would be
well. And I mean, to not bury the elephant in the room here, R-Truth is getting up there. He is in his 50s now, so it would be a really cool way for him to like ride off into the sunset with one last title reign, especially because Awesome Truth never won the tag belts back in the day.
Yeah, throw Miz in there too. He loses to football players.
I mean, yeah, but Miz is also like 43. He's not nearing the end of his career right now. He's got a few more years in him probably. R-Truth is probably winding down as a performer. I really just want to give them both like one little thing together because they're also really close friends outside of the fest. So give them an opportunity together, let them have the belts, and also end the Judgment Day reign of terror, please separate the belts again, please.
That would be great.
Please.
Not to mention that R-Truth accidentally went to Austria.
Yeah.
Truth the goat.
He is. Look, protect that man at all costs. He is gold. He is everything, and he gives me what I need. In this, I protect that man. Put him.
Shout out Little Jimmy.
Put him in some bubble wrap and everything.
Where is Little Jimmy these days?
Where's Little Jimmy these days?
He's training with Nicholas to become an actual person.
Oh yeah, Dom and Nick. They gonna become a tag team, Nick and Little Jimmy. We move to the men's elimination chamber match. This match was a good match as well. I actually really did enjoy this match. It was all the spots, like you said, not the yawn fest, Brooke. What?
It was boring. I'm sorry, but like
I didn't find it boring at all.
You want to know why I find it boring? You know why I find it boring? This is the most cut and paste elimination chamber I think I have ever watched in my life. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to let you all talk about it. All I'm going to say is this. The ending sucked. The ending was actually terrible. And you let Bobby Lashley go out first.
It was bad.
You let Bobby go out
in
first.
February.
Well, that too, but also Naomi went out first too.
That's what I'm saying.
You can Kevin Owens go out first. Like, I no offense, I love Kevin. You know that. I wanted Kevin to be the runner-up in this thing, but like, you let Bobby go out first,
Bro,
What
they
is
thought this was a
good?
cheesy 80s horror flick. That's what they thought this was. That's what they thought Elimination Chamber was.
Literally that. This is probably going to rank in the bottom half of my Elimination Chamber ranking. There was nothing here that entertained me beyond like a few spots here or there. Like, Logan Paul was actually probably the best part of this match, and I don't think the world is ready to have that conversation. It was just so. I mean, AJ Styles was there. That was nice. Always glad to see him. But like, other than that, it just felt so samey, and there's nothing here to like keep me interested long term. Like, I'm gonna forget that this match happened in a few weeks. Honestly,
I did disagree a little bit. I thought it was a fine match. Here's my issue. This is where I'm at. If I'm going to take issue, this is where I'm at. Okay, one, I hate that now it's just par for the course that like we wait until all 6 competitors are in the match before we start eliminating people.
Mm-hmm.
What is the freaking point, right? Like, it is okay because the match should be deadly enough that you eliminate some people prior to other people getting released. There's like advantages to being the last one out of the chamber. That just doesn't exist anymore. Now it's basically war games where we're just waiting for everybody to get in the match for the match beyond. That's one. 2, I don't like, and call me old-fashioned, I hate outside interference in a cage match. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. They're building the story. You know, AJ Styles flew all the way to Australia just to cost LA Knight the match. That's fine. Whatever. It's okay. But, like, in general, you know what I mean? Like, this is a cage. You were locked in a cage. You should not have outside interference come in and ruin the day. 2, LA Knight's finisher. I don't know who the cameraman is, but LA Knight's finisher, not the cameraman, but the guy that replaced Kevin Dunn, looks like dog crap. Okay. It's like their heads are not hitting the mat. There's no contact. It's not really a stunner. I don't know what it is. So get rid of that. 4,
Mare driver.
Yeah. 4, what Brooke said, Logan Paul should not be the best thing about this match. And I hate that, but Logan Paul getting his butt kicked from start to finish was absolutely hilarious and incredible. And he sold his ass off and it looked good. So Logan Paul is actually like good. And I know we all know it. And there has not been a bad Logan Paul match yet. So that is what it is. But yeah, no, I thought the finish was fine. I really liked it. I thought the towards the end with Logan Paul, like putting the brass knucks on and like the zoom in on his face and then the RKO out of nowhere there. I thought that was really good. I didn't like that he knocked Randy Orton out, but that was fine. I wish Drew McIntyre would have gotten a stronger victory by being the one that beat Randy himself, and not Logan Paul beating Randy. I think it goes back to the first one where Becky Lynch wins with a roll up. I think it's weak. It's weak. So, especially when you're already in the loser's bracket.
Yeah, so I highly agree on that ending part. I had no problem with the way Logan Paul got eliminated. It is literally just the ending part where Logan Paul decked Randy Orton with a set of brass knucks, and that is how Drew McIntyre won.
Right.
Granted, you're setting up Logan and Randy at Mania probably for the U.S. title. Cool, happy, whatever. But Drew is supposed to look like the all-conquering badass going into Mania that can actually pose a threat to Seth Rollins. This did not help at all. I think it severely deflates any excitement for Drew going into Mania, at least to me. Because it makes him kind of look like a chump. It makes him look like, yeah, Randy Orton probably wins that match if Logan Paul doesn't deck Randy in the face of the brass knuckles. Like, we don't know. But it doesn't make Drew look good. I can tell you that much.
Right. But protected finishers, that RKO, man, 1, 2, 3 every time.
Yep, true, and that's good. Speaking of this chamber, I actually think it's good. I think it's a good chamber. But I think that there's something that's kind of guising our view, and that is last year's men's chamber. Last year's men's chamber was incredible. We had so much energy, athleticism. We had Gargano. We had freaking every athletic, high flying, super energetic star in that chamber. It was incredible. Now you look at this year, and we have people who notice Logan Paul was the best thing about the chamber. Also, the only young man in the chamber. This was a little older on the age spectrum of the chamber. This was much more about experience and technical skill. It felt like I was watching a defensive battle instead of an offensive battle. And so only having Logan there, who was taking beatings instead of doing like crazy stunts, we didn't have a Montez Ford. We didn't have a Johnny Gargano. And that's kind of what makes chambers. You need like an Io Sky in the chamber. You need someone who's going to take those risks and do those big things. And of course, no one in this chamber really was going to do that. And the one person who did was like always on the floor getting beat. So to me, that kind of explains why this match felt like so underwhelming and slow paced, which I would say reasonably, I think it is. The finish was a little, I actually didn't hate the finish. I thought the finish was fine. But Toph, to your point, I do agree that the outside interference, now that you're saying it to me, it does kind of sour Cage's. I usually do kind of prefer those events to be a little bit more isolated. Although I don't know if this really hurts Drew's chances or his momentum going into Mania. But for, the unfortunate thing they've done with Seth Rollins, I think that's the bigger part of the issue of why we don't feel like he can lose. Shinsuke Nakamura decapitated Seth Rollins like 18 times, like 4 months ago, and he didn't care, and he already was injured. So how can anyone beat the invincible Achilles with a hurt back, known as Seth Rollins? Because it seems the worse his back gets, the more he wins.
Yeah.
Instead of
I
losing.
don't think about Nakamura losing that last man standing match to a Falcon Arrow right now. I really don't.
Yeah, like how can Drew ever win if one Falcon Arrow can do, okay, but sorry, that's a little too semantical and everything else, but I think the chamber was good. I hope that Drew can pull it off though. That's my thought. I really like this heel Drew. Even in this chamber, I thought it was probably my favorite part of the chamber, even if it wasn't the technically best part.
He's good.
My only complaint about this match was, and it's the same complaint I had about the women's match. I hate Naomi going out first. I hate Bobby Lashley going out first. And I'm like, we doing this in February, Black History Month? We just putting all the black folks out there quickly? We doing this? I hate it. I didn't like it. Because I feel like it makes them look like they aren't competitors. And like, I know people got to get eliminated first. I know that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crazy and naive or stupid. But I'm like, Naomi shouldn't have been first, in my opinion. And I don't think Bobby Lashley should have been first. Still, Bobby doesn't have enough story going into WrestleMania with anybody because they haven't been pushing a story with them. So I don't know. And I don't know who I would want him to be replaced with to go out first, because I feel like can't say Logan Paul, because even if you feel however you feel about Logan Paul, he put on a great match in this match. Kevin Owens needed to be there to fight with Logan Paul when they finally got him out the chamber. LA Knight is still, so over and good. So I don't know.
You know how you fix that? You just make Logan Paul come out of the pod first, like earlier, like at like 4 or so, like have Kevin be waiting on him and like swap Logan and Bobby's entrant numbers. And I mean, it's not like Bobby has nothing going on right now. He's still feuding with Karrion Kross and whatever their stable's name is, I forget. But the Pride is still feuding with them. It's looking like there could be something with that going into Mania. It's not like he's adrift out in the ocean and just a good top guy that they can throw into this chamber match to make up the numbers. He's still Bobby effing Lashley. It's not like he's a random dude. This was, honestly, this was tailor-made to get Bobby back over. I mean, let Bobby run through people. Like, sure, he did a few pod spears. Love a good old-fashioned pod spear. They've been done to death, but I love seeing them. But, like, let Bobby, like, honestly, you can have Kevin Owens beat the crap out of Logan Paul, turn around right into a Bobby Lashley spear, and let Bobby eliminate Kevin Owens. Right? That was all you had to do. I don't think it was very difficult to do that, and I get why they didn't. But at the same time, if you want to keep Bobby Lashley as a credible threat, you cannot have him be going out first in an elimination chamber again.
And I'll just say it too. If you're gonna go out first anyway, and you're not gonna do much with Bobby Boys in the chamber, put someone else in. Like, if you're not gonna use them, then don't abuse them if you're trying to push them. And also, that's like we were talking about this a little bit before, but you have to like take steps back. You can't just look at the singular moment and go, well, Bobby Lashley was obviously the first choice. Because if you look at the 6 people, yeah, I could see that like the other 5 couldn't. Why is that?
Right.
Why is it for the last year Bobby has been put in a spot where he is the obvious person to bring out first,
Right.
Like, you've made all the other 5 necessary. Why is it that Bobby's not in that spot? Of course we want to see Bobby Lashley succeed. Man, I hope they give something to Bobby. I'm with you on it.
Absolutely. That was my only complaint. But other than that, I found it to be a good match. I enjoyed that Drew won. I like Drew for this. It just made sense for Drew to win, to go up against Seth Rollins at Mania. It made sense. So I knew it was going to happen. I'm not mad at it. I love heel Drew. I think he's going to entertain us throughout up until WrestleMania on Raw and SmackDown, whatever. So I'm not mad at this.
I never really cared about Drew on the mic until recently, but like, man,
he's good.
He's been delivering ever since I prayed and you got hurt, bro.
Got hurt, right?
That is insane.
Honestly, I didn't think about this until like just a second ago. I have the Elimination Chamber Wikipedia page in front of me that has all the matches on it. This match reminds me a lot of the 2010 SmackDown Elimination Chamber that Chris Jericho won. Because you had 6 stars in that match: R-Truth, CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, John Morrison, The Undertaker, and Chris Jericho, right? Like a loaded, stacked card. And yet you let R-Truth go out first.
Absolutely, of course.
And then you have the interference costing Undertaker at the end and letting Jericho win. And you have, CM Punk getting thrown around like a rag doll the entire match. Like, like if you really compare it, they're very similar.
Very similar. Absolutely. A little too similar for my liking, but sure. And finally, we're going to move on to the Women's Championship match. Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. Rhea Ripley in her home country of Australia. We knew she wasn't losing this belt. It didn't matter what. But the match itself, I actually liked it. And I was very shocked that I was going to like it because I thought, even though I've said Nia has been better this time around, this is the best we've seen Nia perform and since she's been back. And I thought this match showed that she's here she's better now than what she used to be. And so I appreciated this match. It wasn't a smash match for Rhea. Like, Rhea didn't just come out and just destroy Nia and move on really quickly. It really made Nia look strong. This was one of those matches where I was like, she doesn't have to win to win. And I think she won. Nia won in this match as far as showing her dominance, showing her skill set, showing that she is somebody who can compete on this level, not hurt Rhea Ripley, not damage, people in a match. And she gave a good match, and she kind of dominated a lot of that match. So I thought this was a win-win situation. It was a win for Nia to lose but still win, and it was a win for Rhea to have this experience, to be at home in front of her home country, in front of her family, showing that she, putting on a really good match and still coming out victorious. So.
True. Also, I only have 2 things to say about this match. One, man, Rhea Ripley looking like a villain off of Stranger Things. Like, that makeup goes crazy. Whoever did that, y'all talented. That's insane. But the second thing I have to say, and a far more important thing to say, is Lana, I completely agree with you about Nia Jax. I think that it's very fair to be reserved after the past with Nia, but we're obviously looking at something different coming forward, and hopefully that will continue, and I'm starting to have some confidence it will. But also, you make a very good point that she didn't just get stomped. And I think it was incredibly important, but it wasn't for Rhea. Rhea's already built. it was important for Toni Storm. It was important for Shayna Baszler. It was important for Liv Morgan. It was important for every superstar who's has been terrorized by Nia Jax for the past 2 months, that Rhea Ripley's not just able to kick her over, because Nia has been destroying every other woman.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to see now is, including Becky, by the way. So Rhea has beaten Nia, and Nia was beating everybody. If it would have been a shutout, it would have made anyone beating Rhea for the next year feel like an impossibility. So the fact that Nia was almost able to do it gives her a lot of credit. It gives a lot of credit to the women's division, and still keeps Rhea on top. So very well done, WWE. Let's go to Perth again. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think Nia looked great. I think Nia made Rhea look great. Rhea looked great. She really is a megastar. It's not just that it was in Perth. It was partly that, but also she truly, they had faith enough to say, you know what, Rhea, you are the main event, and Nia is worthy of putting you on in the main event. When was the last time we had the women main event, a premium live event?
It's been.
Yeah, especially a one-on-one match. This was gold, and Rhea Ripley is going to go on to beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania and become the
Let's
big.
go.
It was fine. I don't really have much more to say about it than that. The actual match was good. I don't have any problem with it. We knew Rhea was going to retain. Nia was very good in this match. I think Nia has definitely been really great since she came back, and I don't think any of us are going to deny that. I don't think she's been bad at all. My only knock here is that I hate the fact that Rhea kicked out of the Annihilator. I hate that so much. I get why. I understand why. But that thing has been so well protected for 4 months since Nia came back. And longer than that, 5-6 months since Nia came back. And I get we need to make Rhea look strong and unbeatable. But you could have her not kick out of the move that no one else has kicked out yet. You could have her have her arm under the rope or something and make Nia look like she just missed it and got caught up in the moment or whatever. I don't know. It's just, it was a tiny little nitpick. But other than that, the match was really good. I don't think it was match of the night by any means, but that crowd was really hot for Rhea. I'm happy that they kind of let her work as a face in this match a little bit. Obviously you're in front of your hometown. Obviously they're going to cheer for you, but it was really nice to let Rhea have that moment. And we'll see where things go from here for all the women involved, I suppose.
Absolutely. But that is that, y'all. We have talked about it. So overall, we got to give our overall scores or grade.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a B. Just solid B. Not B plus, not B minus, but just B.
Mm-hmm.
I was entertained the whole time.
I would go for a B2.
I'm gonna give it a C minus. To me, C is a totally average show, and this was a totally average show. There was not much more than that here. And it gets a minus for having 2 matches where I think the wrong people won. So C minus.
I give it a solid B. I think it was a good B type show. I agree with one thing you said, Brooke. We probably won't be talking about Elimination Chamber 3 months from now, but we will be able to say that for me, I would remember Perth 3 months from now. You know what I mean?
Yep. And also, is it a little funny? Sorry to interrupt, Lana. The 2 matches we'll probably look back on are the non-elimination chamber matches. We'll look back at the tag match and go, that was an incredible match. We'll look back and be like, wow, Rhea really was amazing in Perth.
Yeah.
It's an elimination chamber and we don't care about the chambers?
Actually, can I edit my grade? I'm going to change it from a C- to a D+. Samantha Irvin was not a ring announcer for any of the matches on the show.
They are alternating the announcers for the PLEs. They made that very clear. Now I agree. I don't particularly care that old boy did not need to be there the whole time, but we did get Samantha Irvin the whole time at Rumble, so I can't be that mad that this guy gets to do.
You're gonna get Samantha Irving at least one.
We gonna get Samantha Irving most of the time at Mania if they continue this thing. Well, no, they probably gonna let old boy be at Mania, but the next PLE after Mania, it'll be all Samantha Irving.
I'm just saying, I don't care. C-, D+.
No, you took it to a D. You took it to a D because
D+,
Samantha.
D+, C- to a D+.
Sure.
All right.
But yes.
Sound like an English teacher.
But yeah, I think we're on the road. WrestleMania would be probably the next pay-per-view or PLE that we discuss, and
I'll be there.
You're excited?
I'm excited for you. Look, it's the possibility I still might be there. Like I'm still looking, so I'm thinking about it very heavily. Let's just say, me and my nephew had some conversations, so it might happen. I might be at WrestleMania, but I'm not sure. But anyway, we will be back to talk about WrestleMania. We got some exciting things coming your way for WrestleMania, so you might want to stick around and join us because we got some exciting things happening and coming up here on the Cup TV. And here on the Cup multi-broadcasting period, because our multi-channel selves, we like throwing channels out there. So who knows what might happen between now and WrestleMania. So hit the subscribe button. This whole time, hit the subscribe button, hit it here, do all the things. Go to the Cup, the main channel, the Cup Pod, hit that subscribe button. Go to the Cup ESC, hit that subscribe button. Do all of those things. We appreciate you. Join our membership. That'll be great. Why not? Follow us on our socials at the Cup Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok because we have some funny moments that we put up there. Also, you can follow us. Those of us who have a social media, you can follow us. And because we do some things. We talk about some stuff. Get your Cup merch because why not? At lanagscreations.etsy.com. You see it down there. It's right there. Get all of those things. And that's it. We'll see y'all next time. Cheers.
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 Oh, we didn't talk about the Waller effect.
It's right there.